Hi everyone, welcome to Tech Talks. My name is Michael Bertoni and I am the founder and CEO of Philly Tech. Again, Tech Talks airs every Wednesday at 12:30 p.m. and the show is really dedicated to software companies, entrepreneurs, startups, and really your success. So I'm really excited today, guys, because I have one of my best clients here today from Chain.io, and it's a Brian Glick. Brian,
good to be here.
Great to see you. So again, Philly Tech is focused completely in working with software companies. That's all we do. And Brian has a tremendous company in Chain.io, really easy to go to if folks don't know. IO is their website, so Chain.io. And I have people calling me as I'm doing searches and trying to find them talent that are excited. They're actually excited about the technology. So again, really glad to have you here, Brian. So yeah, tell the audience a little bit about your background. We'll start there, right? Before Chain, what was life like as a child as Brian Glick, right? No, we don't have to go to child. But what was your background like?
It could be a long story at this point. So I got my start in technology back when you just used the term computer guy. There was no specialization, right? So as a high school kid, I used to take the train into Philadelphia with a stack of computers on a hand truck on the subway to go install networks and servers for pretty significant sized law firms in Center City.
Right.
And that was back when the 15-year-old kid would show up and set everything up, and that was sort of how you did computers back then. The benefit of that is that over the years, what is now almost 30 years since I started doing that, really touched every layer of the tech space, right? Whether that was helping literal first-time PC user figure out what a mouse is, all the way up through what we're doing now with serverless technologies and cloud-based integrations and sort of everything in between, which gives sort of a unique perspective that a lot of people don't have who are coming up today, where they drive to specialization really early.
Yeah. So tell again, it's really exciting about companies, right? So your platform is, again, it's focused in integration. Right, and that's just integrations. We'll talk about that in a little bit, what that is. But tell the audience. I'm always very curious to understand, how did the idea germinate, right, for Chain.io, right? Because remember when you told me you bought the website, when you bought the website, you're like, I'm gonna eventually do this. But how did the idea germinate in your mind before you actually started the company?
All right. So in my journey, I landed pretty early in the logistics and supply chain space. So moving freight, everything that has to happen from the time an iPod or an iPhone, somebody decides to order it at Apple in California, to go through the manufacturing, the trucking, the airplane it has to go on, the ocean container it has to go in, all of those things. I've been in that industry about 20 years. Right. One of the challenges that industry has that's pretty unique is, at any given shipment, there might be 100+ companies that are engaged somewhere along that chain of that journey of that product from that factory in China to a retail store, right? I worked a lot in the part of the industry that deals with clearing those goods through customs. And what happens at that point is you're dealing with the overseas part, you're dealing with the part here in the US, and everybody's got different systems, everyone's got different little nuances to their business. And the great frustration that we always had was it was so hard every time we got a new customer to help them, because they were integrated to their previous provider. It might take a year to get their IT department to move the information over to us, or we didn't have the resources, or they were using one software package and somebody else was using another one, and those two companies, the software companies, didn't want to work with each other. So there's just this massive layer of complexity. And I always found it extremely frustrating that everyone on the business side wanted to succeed. Everyone was motivated in the same direction, and the IT departments couldn't ever line up their tech. And that just irritated me over a 20-year period, until finally I said, you know what, I'm going to go solve this problem, because it's somebody has to be there to help.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, there's a better way, right? So there is a better way to do this, right? So again, guys, just to recap, right? We got manufacturing, supply chain, right? Goods and services being moved, from China all the way to here, right? You're thinking, oh, I get my shipment in a few days. This is easy. But like Brian has said, it's literally a controlled tornado, probably, right?
It's amazing to me, being in the middle of the industry, it is amazing to me that anything ever gets anywhere.
Right.
Forget on time, right? On time's even more amazing, but just the fact that any particular package or any particular, container full of fruit coming from South America is going to arrive where it's supposed to be, when it's supposed to be, each one's a minor miracle.
Yeah. So Chain has developed, guys, a platform, and Brian's going to talk about it in a little more detail, a platform to help automate all these integrations, these hundreds of integrations that are happening, automates that. So tell the audience about Chain, right? So what is Chain, right? And what's the value? Why would people use Chain?
So we are a neutral platform for systems integration. And I always stress the word neutral because we are like plumbers in the sense that we connect all of the different software companies whose data needs to move around to make all of these complex shipments happen without actually doing the data processing that any of those companies do. And one of the things that's important really in any tech company, but especially now that we've all moved into SaaS and into the cloud, is to make sure that what you're focused on is aligned with all of your business partners and all of the people in your ecosystem. Right. So by being this plumbing company that says, hey, you company that manages a fleet of trucks and you a company that manages a warehouse, we're not going to build warehouse management software and we're not going to build truck management software, but when that truck pulls into that yard to load a shipment for that warehouse, we're going to take that electronic message from the device that's in the truck and send a message over to that warehouse saying, hey, this truck just pulled into your yard.
Right.
Better go get that shipment and stage it because that truck's gonna be pulling up to the loading dock in a minute. Right. And let's make that process all move smoothly. So we are the plumbers that make all of those data messages go back and forth.
Yeah, so whenever you're with a software company too, and you're working with a software company, I mean, they do, so they increase productivity, right? So the technology increases productivity. The one thing Brian had said to me, which I found really appealing, was his technology actually helps you drive revenue. Because when you create these connections, it helps the organization drive more dollars, to their organization. The other thing that people get excited about when they call me and talk to me, engineers, they talk serverless. So tell the audience about the value of Chain. So there are other, obviously, solutions out in the market. Why Chain? What's the differentiation? Why should somebody use it as opposed to other products?
So the way we drive revenue for our customers, many of our customers are either the software companies themselves who really do not want to build departments inside of a startup to do legacy integrations to 30-year-old ERP systems, and their investors don't want them to do that either. But in order to drive revenue, in order to go sign a Fortune 100 company or a top 10 global freight forwarder, you need to be able to work with those large companies and with those legacy systems. So those software companies will come to us and say, we want to be part of the Chain.io platform. And therefore, when we build our one-time connection into Chain.io, we can now have our salespeople go out and say, yes, we can work with anyone on any platform, any legacy system, and we're just going to call Chain.io in the background, and they're going to make that client onboarding and the customer success part of that work for that data integration. And then with the freight companies we work with, they have almost an even bigger problem that anytime they sign a new large account, they have to integrate to that customer's systems, and that customer needs electronic invoices sent to them. They need to send purchase orders back and forth, all sorts of data. And they also don't have IT resources to dedicate to switching to a new freight company. So when a salesperson at a freight company goes out, they need to be able to say to their customer, whatever systems you have, whatever you're doing today, we're going to make it work so that you don't have to go back and get on an IT project list. So our freight customers know that they can also say, hey, we can integrate to any system, we can do whatever we want because we have Chain.io in the background supporting us.
Right.
The way that ties back to the serverless and to the technology is one of the things that's really hard is figuring out how to do all of that and have a budget and actually manage your business cleanly. And when you sit down, in this time of year and in the fall and you're budgeting next year and you say, how much is the sales team going to sell? And they're going to make up a number and you're going to discount that by 20, 30%
Right.
and say this is what we're probably going to really get next year. And now what is that going to cost me from a transactional processing standpoint? If they sell $1 million worth of revenue by selling $100,000 customers, that's a really different set of projects than $1 million customer.
Sure.
And all sorts of things are different. So what we've been able to do with our tech stack is make it so incrementally cheap for us to process any given transaction that we can offer our clients a fixed price per trading partner.
Right.
So when they say, I get a new customer, they know it is going to be a fixed price for that customer to onboard them, which means the sales team can just know in the room. They don't have to play that, I got to go back to my manager game and get you a quote. They can just say, we know what it costs, this is what it costs, and move on to the next part of that sales cycle.
Yeah, because the other thing that I really liked about Brian's company is the focus, right? And learning more about what supply chain is, what logistics is, right? So when I'm working with a lot of founders and software companies, a lot of times they're like, yeah, we sell this to everybody. And I'm like, probably not good. So you chose supply chain, you chose logistics. Explain to the audience really quickly what that means. So that's your focus as a business. So tell the audience what that means.
So being in Philadelphia, we are a massive hub for healthcare, biotech, pharmaceuticals. Every time I go out and meet somebody who doesn't know what we do and is just generally in the community in Philadelphia, they say, oh, could you help with medical billing? Could you help with processing data for clinical trials? Could you help with X, Y, or Z? And I always point them to other really great companies for that, because the way we provide so much value to our clients is that our team is really deeply engaged in the domain space of supply chain. We all have 20-year backgrounds, or most of us, at least on the business side, and we really are able to sit with our clients and understand things like, oh, if you're bringing that product into Brazil, that's going to be a much different process than bringing that product into Italy.
Right.
There's
so there's value add beyond just
yeah.
tech.
So that value add, or saying, hey, client says to you something like, I'm going to send an update about this shipment 48 hours after it left, which is great when you're moving an ocean container that takes 15, 20 days to get there. But when you're moving an air shipment from London to JFK, if you send me an update on that shipment 48 hours after it left, I've already got it in my hands.
Right.
It's there already, right? I don't need an update at that point. So we're able to sit with our clients and really understand their businesses, understand their customers' businesses, and bring best practices along with the integration. So it's not just take an order and return back a mapping. It's come to us with a business problem, or even sometimes our clients don't even really know what their business problem is. They just know they have competitors who are selling something that's more advanced.
Right.
And we're able to sit down with them and really strategize and figure out and be that trusted partner for solving the real problem, not just the technology problem. And there's no way we could do that in fintech or in healthcare, because we're not experts there. So that's why we stay very focused.
So guys, come back to Tech Talks in a few minutes, because we're going to get into specific customer use cases, right? We're also going to talk about the future of this market, the future of chain. So come on back to Tech Talks in a few minutes. Thanks.
Looking for a peaceful place to ride with no pressure? Here at Suffolk Stables, we offer many lesson horses of all shapes and sizes. Whether you are a beginner, or you are experienced, or just want to get back in the saddle, from ages 3 and up, we have horses of various levels for you to enjoy and train with. Come take a ride on our beginner-safe horses and learn the basics, or move your training along and learn to jump or polish your jumping skills on our seasoned jumping horses in our sand and stone dust outdoor jumper ring. After your lesson, take a walk to cool down on our racetrack, which is 5/8 of a mile long. If you're looking to take dressage, we have lessons in our outdoor full-size ring and offer experienced dressage coaches. Suffolk Stables has a large indoor arena for year-round riding, which also has wonderful dust-free footing. Are you looking to show? Here at Suffolk Stables, we offer a full show series for spring and fall. We offer 3 rings active at the same time with 3 separate judges. Dressage on the grass, hunters and jumpers, plus money classes in our beautiful outdoor jumping ring. Plus English and Western classes, money classes, ranch riding, and classes for miniature horses in our indoor arena. We hold a year-end awards banquet every year to show our appreciation for all the hard work of the riders, trainers, and parents throughout the year. Suffolk Stables offers help through our non-profit for people looking for scholarships. We aid with the cost of lessons and showing throughout the year, and to groups that are just looking to experience horses. Visit us at www.suffolksafe.org or contact the number on your screen for more information. Suffolk Stables also offers our beautiful farm for venues such as weddings and other celebrations or events. Come join us for a lesson or an experience. Gift certificates are available and all forms of payment are accepted to include Venmo and PayPal. We look forward to a visit from you soon. Visit our website at www.suffolkstables.com and enjoy the ride.
So welcome back to Tech Talks. My name again is Michael Bertoni, and I'm the founder and CEO of Philly Tech. And we are having a great conversation, super exciting, about integration within supply chain technology with Chain.io CEO Brian Glick. So guys, what's really cool about this technology, and we talked about a little bit in the previous segment, was it helps generate revenue for clients. It helps increase productivity, right? So the value proposition for this technology is extremely strong. So Brian, tell the audience a little bit about customer stories, right? Some, if you can name them, great. You don't have to, but tell maybe about the top 2 or 3 customer stories, maybe some fun tidbits.
So most of our really fun stories are our clients calling us because they had a little bit of an emergency.
Right.
So we usually leave the names out, but a really good example was we had a client who they were acquired by another company, and as part of that acquisition, they made a commitment to switch to a new operational platform. So their whole business runs on this freight management system. It's their ERP for very specific to freight, and they made a commitment to migrate over to a new platform that the parent company wanted and all of these things. And, it was January 1st, we're going to have this done. We have to have it done, drop dead date, all the accounting systems have to be moved over, and they got to sort of mid-November of a particular year, and they realized that they had another system sitting on the side that was extremely important to, I would guess, about 85% of their revenue.
Wow.
So kind of a big deal.
Sure.
And that system wasn't particularly documented, and it was integrated to their old system.
Okay.
And it was not integrated to their new system, and come January 1, so we're now 6 weeks away,
right,
they're going to essentially have to drop 85% of their revenue if they don't get this migrated, or they're going to have to go back to their CEO and say, we're going to have to push this off 6 months.
Right.
They were able to call us, and because we already had existing experience and we were able to do things, we took the data that was coming out of this side system in the format that their old system needed.
Right.
And in our cloud, mutated it and converted it to look like the data in the format of the new system.
Sure.
They didn't have to contact either software vendor, and we were able to sit in the middle and process those transactions for them. That's and sort of save the day. And for those of us who are going to go to our website and sign up, please don't ask us to do restructure your whole business in 4 weeks. We prefer not to do that, but occasionally it's something we have to do.
They're going to pay you.
Yeah, well, and it's one of those things where when you're in integration, nobody ever wakes up in the morning and says, "Hey, let's go find a new integration provider today, just for fun." Right?
Right.
We're not that kind of business. But when those things are needed, they're usually needed right now, and that's where we sort of can get very creative with our customers to say, how can we use what you already have in your environment and maybe assemble the Legos a little bit differently and build the thing that you need, as opposed to, spending a year stuck in analysis to go start completely from scratch.
Right. So again, on my side, what I'm hearing is compelling events. Right. So I heard two compelling events. I heard we have a problem and it needs to be fixed right now. And then I heard we have a new system. Right. So what are some of the other more stories, but also compelling events? Because it's, companies that are watching this today, a lot of times you don't know what you don't know, right? So you're the CEO, you're the CFO, and you're like, we have a problem, and we don't even know what we don't know. We don't know how to fix it, right? So what are some of those other compelling drivers that you see, and also kind of blended into customer stories?
So there's two other big drivers. The first one is, what we call in the logistics industry swivel neck, which is I have an employee who has two screens, and the reason they have two screens is they're getting data in from one system, and then they have to turn their head and type it into the other system. Right. So they have that swivel neck all day. They're just going back and forth. I got to take data from here and put it into there. And what we find is there's a ton of companies, whether they're freight companies or companies that are dealing with their own inventory, where they're getting information from an external source, and there is somebody literally sitting there taking that information and rekeying it back into their system. And that's a cost. There's the layers to that cost, right? There's the cost of paying the person, but there's also the cost of the time it takes, the data quality that drops when things like that happen. So that's an area where we'll work. A lot of companies come to us and they say, we have customers we need to get paid, and we have 7 different payment portals that we have to go, that all have data integrations, but we don't have the resources to take the invoice out of our system and distribute it in 7 different formats. So we've worked with some pretty large companies to help automate those processes and get those onboarded. The other big event is I have or would like to have a new customer, right? That's the biggest event, right? And that's, in this day and age, when you're doing B2B work, your customers will have IT expectations. And if you can come out of the gate with that IT working, you have a much higher chance of keeping that customer. And in logistics and freight, there's, and even freight software, there's this period from when the customer makes an emotional decision to buy, right? They really want to work with you. And there's a period where there's a point in the future where you're actually processing their shipments. And often, if there was no IT involved, that could be 24 hours. That could be, I want to buy from you, I'm giving you my freight. With an IT project in the middle, that 24 hours could be a year. And that year is time that the incumbent can sit there and try to gain the business back, right? And all that could happen in that year is they get irritated with you. They're not going to be happier at any point in that journey, and that's the beginning of your relationship. So what we work with our clients on is, how do we bring that time backwards? How do we turn that year implementation into a 3-month implementation, or a customer that would be 3 months? Let's see if we can get it down to a week. Because it's that time to joy. Right? From a sales perspective and from a client success, is if you can get them onboarded quickly and smoothly and make that great first impression, then you've got a relationship for a long time. If that first piece is painful, A, they may just give up, right? B, their incumbent might convince them to give up, or C, you've poisoned the relationship at the beginning, and sometimes you never really recover from that, even if you keep the business.
Yeah. So the interesting thing that I'm thinking is the actual how you engage, right? So that's one question. I was thinking of this question as you were talking. How do you engage with customers? Because usually it's 3 ways, guys. Usually, sometimes the company will use your software platform. Sometimes you will use the software on behalf of your client, and then sometimes it's somewhere in the middle. So how does a client or a prospect or something, how do they engage with you guys typically? How do they use Chain.io?
So we've modeled that initial engagement process a lot off of a company called HubSpot that's pretty big in the customer relationship management and lead generation industry. And what HubSpot does is they have a portal, they have an application you can use. But when you sign up for HubSpot, you're not allowed to use the application until you've gone through their onboarding process.
Got it.
Right, and because the integrations are so complex that we work on from a business standpoint and from a project management standpoint and getting your trading partner to test with you, that we assign a team to every one of our customers who that team stays with you through your journey, so that they learn your language, they learn your customer's language, they learn that your biggest customer is whoever it is. We'll just say Procter & Gamble as an example, and these are the people in that company that if something goes wrong 6 months from now, we need to call and sort it out with. Right. So we learn that, we become an extension of the team on our project side. And then it doesn't really matter whether we're the ones who log into the portal and set it up or the customer is, because the effect is the same. And frankly, the setting up of the screens is the easiest part. The hard part is making sure we're all trained and we're all on the same page as to what data needs to go where and when. We always sort of have a motto in the office that it's one thing to do a data integration and move something from A to B, but getting the right data to the right person at the right time, if you can check those 3 boxes, then you're really successful. And that's a people process problem as much as it's a technology problem.
So guys, let's recap here, because Brian, I want you to tell the audience again, because we have people watching here. Obviously, we would love to get your help, guys. And so review with with people in the audience. Who is the core customer again? Again, supply chain, manufacturing, freight people, like define that for the audience, guys. If you could help us, obviously it's tremendous. Tell the audience a little bit about the core exact customer.
So our best customers are either freight related companies who repeatedly have multiple customers they need to connect to, right, or product-based companies, and I would, sort of lump manufacturing in there, but generally retail products, consumer goods, food, that type of things, who work with multiple service providers, who have more than one freight company they work with, or have trucking companies they work with and ocean freight companies they work with, or where they have more than one problem. Frankly, the clients we turn away are the ones who say, I only have one thing that I ever need to do, and I'm going to do it and I'm going to be done. There are way cheaper ways to get that done, and we can certainly, if you want to contact us, we can make recommendations to great other companies that can do one-off integrations. But clients who work with us, it's because they're going to have repeated problems across like kind of a broad set of integration problems that they need to maintain over a long period of time.
Right, so guys, it's been a great talk here, and you could reach out again to Chain it's just chain.io. Brian told me when he got that website, he was like, I'm the man. But the other thing I want to ask about your Twitter.
I didn't actually say I'm the man.
He's the man. He is the man. Seriously.
I didn't say I'm the man.
So what's your Twitter or any other places where people can find you?
The Twitter is chain_io, because somebody got ahead of me on that one.
Nice.
But the best place to reach out to us is either at the website or on LinkedIn. Just search for chain.io or my name. Those are really the main channels that we work through.
Great. So guys, come on back every week to Tech Talks at 12:30 p.m. And thanks a lot for coming, and looking forward to seeing you in the future.